Thank you for watching this important video. The purpose of this video is to improve your interactions with law enforcement at traffic stops so this unexpected encounter does not escalate into a crisis or worse. Understanding the rules and regulations that govern these interactions will help you be well informed and better prepared for traffic stops and other interactions with law enforcement. The role of law enforcement. In the United States, driving a car is a privilege, not a right. If you fail to obey traffic safety laws, you may be issued citations, assessed fines, and possibly have your driver's license suspended. The main duty of officers is to enforce laws and protect citizens and property. Officers have broad powers to carry out their duty. However, officers have the same rights as other U.S. citizens and are held accountable to the same laws as you are. Law enforcement work can be stressful and dangerous, and officers must be mindful of their own safety as well as the safety of citizens. To minimize conflict, remember to follow the guidelines explained in this course and to maintain a calm and respectful attitude during traffic stops and in any other interaction with law enforcement officers. Before we begin the course on proper interaction with law enforcement at traffic stops, let's look at some of the most likely reasons you will get pulled over. Every day in the United States, there are over 50,000 traffic stops. Some of the most common reasons for being stopped are speeding, reckless driving, equipment violations, and cell phone use. We understand that no one likes to get pulled over by the police. It is both unexpected and stressful. However, you can greatly reduce your chances of getting pulled over if you follow the following guidelines. Obey the speed limit. Speeding is the most common reason you'll get pulled over, and speeding is simply not worth the cost or danger it causes for you, other motorists, and pedestrians. Speeding tickets are expensive. Your insurance rates may go up, and the ticket could go on your driving record. If convicted, tickets on your driving record can label you as a repeat offender. Officers in courts may be less lenient when interacting with you in the future. In 2018, 26% of all traffic fatalities were related to speeding. The greater your speed, the longer it takes your car to slow or stop for that pedestrian or unexpected danger on the road. Keep your equipment in order. Equipment violations are easy for police officers to spot from a distance, and it is very common that an officer will pull you over if your headlight or taillight is burned out. Check your lights and let your family, friends, neighbors, or even a stranger know if their lights are out. If you're pulled over, you will be required to show your insurance and driver's license. During this stop, the officer can detect issues such as possession of drug paraphernalia and drinking, which could lead to other citations or arrest. A fully operational car is the safe way to drive and will greatly reduce your risk of a traffic stop. Drive responsibly. Running red lights, running stop signs, swerving in traffic, changing lanes without a signal, and tailgating are common forms of reckless driving that often lead to accidents because they shorten a driver's reaction time. These are very visible offenses, and if an officer sees you, you will get pulled over. These types of dangerous maneuvers are also frequently called into 911 by other drivers. In addition, if your reckless driving results in serious injury or death of others, it could result in your being charged with serious criminal offenses such as vehicular manslaughter. Don't use cell phones. Distracted driving is dangerous. 1 out of every 4 car accidents in the United States is caused by texting and driving. And it is the single biggest cause of fatal car accidents, claiming 3,142 lives in 2019. Texting, which includes messaging, is considered the most dangerous type of distracted driving because it combines visual, manual, and cognitive distraction. Texting while driving is illegal, and some cities ban all cell phone use while driving. Remember these laws regarding cell phones. You cannot send or receive electronic messages while driving. Drivers with learning permits are prohibited from using cell phones in the first 6 months of driving. Texting and driving in a school zone is illegal. Drivers under the age of 18 are prohibited from using handheld devices. And remember, if you want to avoid getting pulled over in the first place, avoid these 4 driving behaviors. This course is made up of 7 short lessons and will only take about 10 minutes. Let's get started. Lesson 1. You see red and blue lights in your rearview mirror. Robert was driving home after school when he saw red and blue lights in his rearview mirror. He starts to panic, thinking, "Why are they following me? Should I pull over?" What are Robert's best next steps? Pull over to the right-hand side of the road as soon as he safely can, with no delay, so the officer doesn't think he's being evasive. Once at a stop, he discontinues his cell phone call, turns off the music, and rolls down his window. While waiting for the officer, he doesn't fiddle with anything so as to not create suspicion from the officer. If you find yourself in this situation, remember, your goal is to ensure a quick, legal traffic stop so that you and the police officer both go home safely. Lesson 2. The officer will approach your car. As the officer approaches his car, Robert remains in the car and places his hands on the steering wheel so they are visible. He does not make any unexplained or sudden moves or become confrontational. An officer may approach the vehicle from the passenger side for safety reasons. Robert should remain in the car so that the officer does not think he is aggressive or is preparing to run away. Even though he may be angry or frightened, under no circumstances should Robert run from an officer. When the officer comes to his car window, Robert lets the officer talk first and manage the conversation. If Robert has passengers, they should remain calm and quiet as well. The passengers should know the police may ask them for information or ID. The officer will ask him some initial questions like, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" Even though Robert has the right to remain silent, it is smart to create a positive atmosphere of cooperation and answer basic questions in a brief and accurate way. Lesson 3. The officer will ask for your license and insurance. The officer asks Robert for his driver's license and proof of insurance. He communicates with the officer about his movements. For example, if the documents are in the glove box, he should inform the officer that he is going to open the glove box to retrieve the documents. Robert should notify the officer if there is a firearm inside the vehicle. He should not hand his wallet or purse to the officer. He asks permission to get the documents, hands them to the officer, and then puts his hands back on the steering wheel. Remain calm, listen intently, and speak clearly during this process. Robert should never give the officer a false ID. This is a serious offense. A driver or passenger can be arrested for giving false identifying information to an officer. He should not suddenly reach in his pockets or under the seat. The officer may think he is reaching for a weapon. If an officer feels that their safety is threatened, they have the right to use force to defend themselves. Lesson 4. May the officer search your car? If the officer asks Robert if they can look in his car, he can respectfully refuse. An example of a statement that Robert can use to deny a search is, "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." The officer must have clear consent from Robert or probable cause in order to legally conduct a search on his car, including, when practicable, a signed statement or a video recording. Some examples of probable cause include the officer observing beer cans, liquor bottles, or other contraband in plain sight. And if an officer believes that a crime was in the process of being committed, had been committed, or was going to be committed, they have probable cause to search Robert's car. If the officer believes that Robert has a weapon on his person, they may conduct a pat-down or frisk of his clothing. Robert may not resist this pat-down for weapons. In rare circumstances, the officer may order you and your passengers to exit the vehicle. It is important to remain calm during this process to aid in the investigation. This process does not constitute a search. Lesson 5. The officer may give you a ticket. After the officer receives Robert's documents, he or she will return to their vehicle to verify documents, license status, and check for warrants. The officer will then return to Robert's car and explain why he pulled him over. He may issue him a citation or give him a warning. Robert must not disregard the ticket. He should tell his parents or caregivers right away. He also must contact the court within the appointed time on the ticket and follow all directions. Failure to appear in court at the appointed time may lead to additional fines and possibly a warrant for his arrest. Lesson 6. The officer will let you know when you are free to go. The officer will return to his vehicle and let Robert know that he is free to go. Even if he feels he did not deserve a ticket, this is not the time for him to argue with the officer. The proper place to explain his position is in court, not by the side of the road. He should never confront or threaten an officer, and under no circumstances should he physically touch an officer. Above all, Robert does not want an arrest on his record. Fairness will be determined in court, where Robert may argue or appeal his case. If he has any specific questions, he should contact a lawyer to seek legal advice. If both Robert and the officer maintain a courteous attitude and stay calm, a potentially stressful interaction will not escalate into a crisis, and all parties will get home safely. Lesson 7. You may file a complaint or a compliment about your experience. Robert cannot control how the officer handles the traffic stop interaction, but he can control how he handles the interaction. It is important that he takes the situation seriously and remains calm and respectful during this process. Police departments are very interested in learning about Robert's experience with their officers. They understand that no one likes to get pulled over and that traffic stops are both unexpected and stressful, especially for young drivers. Most police departments have a process for Robert to share his traffic stop experience. He can look at the department's website or call the department to find out how to file a compliment or a complaint. It is important for police administration to learn about those officers that are rude and unprofessional so that they can take corrective action. It is equally important to learn about officers that are professional and respectful. These officers are positive examples of building community trust and respect and ought to be commended. Thank you for watching this important video.